Hello, all. And while the coffee is brewing before I make my way to work, I thought this would be not only a great way to test my rig, but a way to keep my word. A video a week. Format might change. Not all of them are going to be shorts, not all of them are going to be this. But I got a lot of my tech back. So we're going to tell a little bit of a funny story here. I'm going to wait until I have more time before work before I tell the potential somebody might overreact and attempt to cause me issues kind of stories. Instead, we're going to tell a different story. You see, I've recently discovered that there are quite a few games that, not just games, a whole bunch of series that really heavily informed. I got a potato webcam mic, so I'm not surprised it's jittery. You can see it on my end. That could just be orbital wobble, but we'll figure that out later. There's a whole bunch of things that have inspired me as a creator. And some of them, like, you go and revisit them, you're like, well, maybe. Not so much. It didn't age that well, or it's good in context. Like, I've had people try and say that Final Fantasy VII is some kind of impressive piece, and I can see why it would have been impressive for its time and how it set the trend, but it's not as deep as people think it is. And the same thing is true of Ocarina of Time. Even my love of Majora's Mask, I sit here and go, it's deeper than Ocarina of Time, but the reason I like it isn't the reason I liked it when I was a kid. And I think if we take that approach, you might be surprised how many of your stories, like Ocarina of Time is a good game. It's very solidly told. There's very few things that actually require deep ingenuity, but that allows you to feel more like an Indiana Jones, adventuring type. You feel more like Link, who, let's be fair, if you watch any cutscene from a Legend of Zelda game, Link is not a intellectual superpower. He's clever, but he's not a genius. But in my particular case, one that stood out to me recently, and I think kind of inspired the core of Ian Perpetua without me even realizing it, was a manga series that turned anime and then came to the States. And I saw it when my mom had recorded the subtitled version onto VHS. And it was called Magic Knight Rayearth. And in Perpetua, when one pursues their focus and hones their personal strength through that focus and follows an ideal, a path, something greater than themselves, they can ascend to greater and greater levels of power, even if they become more and more defined as a character in the process, less untrodden snow and more well-chiseled marble statue. And in the case of Magic Knight Rayearth, it's kind of similar. The Sephiroth boils down to the heart that believes can do anything. And that idea, if you just have a strong enough heart and you believe hard enough, you can make it so. And the series plays with that expectation a lot. They play with it well, too. And I can say with full certainty that I adore Magic Knight Rayearth. All my heart. But it has a character that embodies... she is the focus character. She earns her spot as the main lead, even though her partners, her trio, is just as strongly characterized as her. And that's Hikaru Shidou. I have never... all of these girls are 8th grade girls. And yet, Hikaru is she cannot be stopped. There is no putting brakes on this girl. She will do what she needs to do, and she will act without thinking, but she has a strong, stalwart heart and an unshakable resolve. And you see it even from the first episode. And yet you also constantly see that despite this internal strength, this willingness to throw down with anybody who comes along, she's a big old bleeding heart softie. She just can't bring herself to hurt animals, and she doesn't like fighting people. And she'll fight monsters. Monsters start trying to kill her and her friends, just that they're dead. It's like she's master of war. But I've never seen somebody so consistently able to just destroy the instant it's time to throw down, and yet biggest softie. Just a big old marshmallow of a girl. And I bring her up in particular because some years ago there was a series that came out called High Guardian Spice. And nobody really remembers it very much, but one of the things in one of the interviews is they wanted to compare their main lead, Rosemary, to Hikaru Shidou. And I was immediately furious. And you might say, like, why is he furious? Like, High Guardian Spice wasn't very offensive initially. It's that you brought Hikaru into it. It would be like if I tried to compare one of my characters to Vash Stampede. I haven't earned the right to even that parallel. Even if I did have somebody who was like that, I haven't earned the right. I have in no regard gotten close enough to earn that parallel. Because Vash Stampede is something else. The same thing is true to Hikaru. Closest thing I saw in modern fiction at all was season 1 Ruby from Ruby. Ruby Rose in the first season was closest parallel to Hikaru, in my opinion. I had seen it in a long time. And in fact, I think she's the closest modern parallel that I can think of off the top of my head. Because Ruby was always willing to throw down, but she was a fun-loving girl who just wanted to be a hero and save the day and be liked by everybody. And she was down for a fight. She loved a good fight, but she had a softie for Zwei and her family. And if she people, you see how when the guy turned her down, she didn't immediately go, ha, and then start beating up like her sister. She went, are you trying to rob me? She was trying to give the poor man a chance. And the weird part is the difference between Ruby and Hikaru is Hikaru went, oh, yeah, like she would have thought you were asking nicely. She would have, oh man, I would love to, but all I got is this piece of cake. And that's me referencing even a moment from that. And I love Hikaru so much. She's one of the greatest conviction, in my opinion. I won't elaborate on what I've already said about her because that's a video for another time. Also, again, Jinra. We'll figure that out. Hopefully the actual more pristine. This webcam is terrible, the integrated one. Anyway, hopefully the audio. Hopefully my PowerPoint presentation went over. And expect next week to be a little bit more polished. But I just want to say, like, I was revisiting things, and I recommend Magic Knight Rare the Met. And I recommend it for a second watch. Because go in blind this time, then rewatch it after. Oh, you just telegraphed it has a twist. Okay. Neat. You won't guess it on your first try, really. It does a pretty good job. And by the time you might be suspecting it, had the intended effect. You go and rewatch it, you'll realize that there's more layers to this when you reach the full scope of just how far it went. Anyway, have a wonderful day.